Good afternoon, students.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon. Is it clear my voice?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, right.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so as a part of seminar presentation, we have 2 days. We are taking it for the 2 days, today and tomorrow. And today we are going to take the seminar from 1 to 20 numbers. Okay, so from the Singam Viresh to Banot Sandosh. Okay, so today we are going to take from these 22 students like Singam Viresh, second Wasam Rajesh, Gundaboyana Saidulu, Lingamola Prashant, Anugapatla Sandeep, Jangamwar Nandini, R. Ashok Kumar, Banala Naveen, Guglot Naveen Nayak, Kolapudi Indra Kumar, Mahmood M. Suguna, Anjaneyulu B, Vadapalli Rajavardhan, Gummala Anirudh, Adepu Pratipha, Rachapudi Babu, Dubbaka Vanaja, Kodi Pratyusha, Banot Santosh. Okay, so you all should present and attend, and you have to present the seminar. Okay, so can I start with Singam Viresh? Singam Viresh, are you there? Rule number 1, Singam Viresh. He is in the meeting or not? Singam Viresh, are you there? Right. So Viresh, not in the meeting. So Wasam Rajesh is there? Rajesh? Wasam Rajesh is there. Wasam Rajesh?
Sir.
Yeah. Open up your video. Open up your video. Right? Okay. You can start your presentation. First of all, give your name, roll number, title of the paper, then you present.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Rajesh. My roll number is 002. My topic is Chandragupta Maurya, the first emperor of historical emperor of India. Little more than what has been stated is known concerning the political events of Chandragupta's region, which lasted for 24 years. His domination certainly included the country now called Afghanistan, the ancient Haryana, as well as the Hindu Kush range, the Punjab, the territories now known as the United Provinces of Agra and Oudh, Bihar, and the peninsula of Kathiawar in the far west. Probably they also comprised Bengal. It is safe to affirm that Chandragupta, when he region terminated about 298 BC, was master of all India north of Narmada, as well as of the Afghanistan. At present, there is no good evidence that he is constant extended into the Deccan, but it is possible that he may have carried his victorious arms across the Narmada. Late traditions in Mysore go so far as percent of extension of the Nanda dominion that the country. The Raman historian Justin, who affirms that Chandragupta was the author of India liberty after Alexander's death, adds the comment that when he had gained the victory and assassinated the throne, he transformed nominal liberty into the slavery, inasmuch as he appraised with servitude the people whom he had recused from the foreign rule. The known facts concerning his administration prove that he was the strained deposit who lived in the daily fear of his life and enforced strict order by a highly organized autocracy supported by punishment of ruthless servility, and all tradition agrees that the ship of slate of was treated with exceptional ability by his Brahman minister, who writings show that his statecraft was not hampered by any moral scruples. The date of manner of the minister disappears from the scheme is not recorded accordingly to that confused the traditions collected in the 17th century by the Tibetan author Taranath Chanakya continues to the guide of the constable of Chandragupta successor. Bindusara, the statement may be well as founded. The fate of Chandragupta. The only direct evidence throwing light on the manner in which the eventful reign of the Chandragupta Maurya came to an end of is that Jain tradition. The Jains always treated the great emperor as having been
Okay,
a
Rajesh,
Jain.
can
Sir,
you conclude it.
Once the fact of the Chandragupta was become a Jain, admitted the tradition that addicted by the committed suicide by Sallekana Vrata in the approved Jain manner becomes readily credible. The story of the effect when the Jain Sanatana Dharma is read in Savana Belkola in Karnataka state.
Okay, right. Can you give me what are the books you refer?
Reference books is V.S. Smith's Ancient Hindu India, D.D. Kosambi, and an introduction of the study of Indian history, and advanced history of India, R.C. Manjudar.
Okay, good.
Thank you, sir.
Students, you have any questions to Rajesh regarding his presentation? Anyone had any question? You can directly ask to Rajesh. No? Okay. Rajesh, good. Thank you.
Sir, thank you, sir.
Right. So next one, Gundebayana Saidulu. Saidulu, are you there? Saidulu? I think Saidulu not in the meeting. Okay, right. Next, Prashant, Lingamalla Prashant.
Good afternoon, sir.
Yeah, Prashant, good afternoon.
I am Prashant, sir, rule number 4.
Yeah.
Hello.
Okay, start, Prashant.
Hello.
Prashant, are you hearing?
Okay, sir.
Okay, open up your video and start your presentation.
Good afternoon, my dear friends. Today I will topic Indus Valley civilization. హలో
చెప్పండి, మీరు స్టార్ట్ చేయండి, ఇక కంటిన్యూ చేసేయండి.
Okay, sir. Indus Valley Civilization, sir. Introduction. Indus Civilization, also called Indus Valley Civilization or Harappan Civilization, sir. The earliest known urban culture of the India subcontinent. It was discovered by archaeologists in the 1880. It developed along the Indus River and the Gaggar Hakra River, and ever that area are now modern Pakistan, North West India, and Afghanistan. This location, sir.
Okay.
The city, the civilization started during the Bronze Age, and high of its development was between 2500 BC and 1500 BC, sir.
Okay.
The Indus Valley civilization is spread all over our country. మన దేశంలో ఎక్కడెక్కడ ఇది స్ప్రెడ్ అయిందంటే ఈ ఇండస్ వ్యాలీ సివిలైజేషన్ నార్త్ సైడ్ వస్తే మాండా, సార్. మాండా ఇన్ కాశ్మీర్. సౌత్ సైడ్ చూసుకుంటే దైమాబాద్, సార్. దైమాబాద్ ఇన్ మహారాష్ట్ర. ఈస్ట్ సైడ్ తీసుకుంటే ఆలంగీర్పూర్, సార్. ఆలంగీర్పూర్ ఇన్ ఉత్తరప్రదేశ్. వెస్ట్ సైడ్ తీసుకుంటే సుక్తాజందర్, సార్, ఇన్ బెలూచిస్తాన్. ఈ ప్లేస్లకు మొత్తం స్ప్రెడ్ అయింది, సార్. ఇండస్ వ్యాలీ సివిలైజేషన్ స్ప్రెడ్ అయింది. సమ్ సిటీస్ వేర్ ఎక్స్కవేటెడ్ డ్యూరింగ్ దిస్ ఎక్స్కవేషన్, సార్. ఎక్స్కవేషన్ అంటే ఈ త్రవ్వకాలలో కొన్ని నగరాలు బయటపడ్డాయి, సార్. అవేంటి అనుకుంటే ఫస్ట్ ఆఫ్ ఆల్ హరప్పన్. Harappan site was first briefly excavated by Alexander Cunningham, sir, in 1972. First excavation started by Dayaram Sahani, sir. Harappan. Some important bits, sir, about Harappan. It is called City of Granary, sir. Harappan. It is called City of Granary. Location తీసుకుంటే situated bank of Ravi River. బ్యాంక్ ఆఫ్ రావి రివర్ పక్కన ఈ హరప్పన్ ఉంది, సార్. మాంటగోని ఇన్ పంజాబ్, సార్. నెక్స్ట్ మోహన్జోదారో, డిస్కవర్డ్ బై ఆర్డి బెనర్జీ, సార్, ఇన్ 1922. దిస్ లొకేషన్ తీసుకుంటే సిట్యుయేటెడ్ బ్యాంక్ ఆఫ్ ఇండస్ రివర్, సార్. మా మోహన్జోదారో ఇండస్ రివర్, లర్కానా ఇన్ లర్కానా, సార్. అయితే ఈ మోహన్జోదారో తవ్వకాలలో ఎక్స్కవేటెడ్ కొన్ని బయటపడ్డాయి, సార్. అయితే అవేంటివంటే ద ఐడియల్ ఆఫ్ లార్డ్ పశుపతి విగ్రహం. ఐడియల్ ఆఫ్ లార్డ్ పశుపతి ఫౌండ్ హియర్, సార్, మోహన్జోదారో. అండ్ ద గ్రేట్ బాత్ ఇన్ మోహన్జోదారో, సార్. ద గ్రేట్ బాత్ ఫౌండ్ హియర్. ది గ్రేట్ బాత్ లెంత్ 39 meters, సార్, అండ్ విడ్త్ 23 meters. డెప్త్ తీసుకుంటే 9 meters, సార్. మోహన్జోదారో మీన్స్ అర్థం ఏంటంటే మౌండ్ ఆఫ్ ది డెడ్, సార్. మృతదేహాల దిబ్బ అని అంటారు మోహన్జోదారో అని. ద నెక్స్ట్ వన్ తీసుకుంటే చన్హుదారో, సార్. డిస్కవర్డ్ బై ఎన్జి మజుందర్. చన్హుదారో ఎన్జి మజుందర్, సార్, ఇన్ 1931.
ప్రశాంత్,
సార్,
ఎక్కడి నుంచి ఇది చెప్తున్నారు? ఎక్కడి నుంచి తీసుకున్నారు మీరు ఇది?
నేను యాన్సియంట్ సివిలైజేషన్ లైబ్రరీలో బుక్ తీసుకున్నా, సార్.
ఆథర్ నేమ్ చెప్పండి. ఆథర్ నేమ్ చెప్పండి.
హలో,
ఎవరు రాశారు బుక్ని?
కొన్ని బిట్స్ ఆన్లైన్లో తీసుకున్నా, కొన్ని బుక్లో చూసిన, సార్.
బిట్స్ ఎవరు చెప్పమని చెప్పారు? బిట్స్ చెప్తామా సెమినార్లో? ఇదేమైనా కాంపిటేటివ్ ఎగ్జామ్ కోచింగ్ సెంటర్ ఏమన్నా ఇది? మీకేం చెప్పాను? ఆల్రెడీ ఫార్మాట్ ఇచ్చాను, ఎలా చేయాలో చెప్పాను. అయినా మళ్ళీ బిట్లు చెప్తే ఎట్లా?
అంటే బిట్స్ ఇంపార్టెంట్ బిట్స్ కాదా, సార్? ఇంపార్టెంట్ టాపిక్ కదా.
దేనికి? ఇదేనా కాంపిటేటివ్ ఎగ్జామ్? ఆ బిట్స్ అకాడమిక్ ప్రోగ్రామ్ లో బిట్స్ ఏం చేస్తారు బాబు? పారాగ్రాఫ్లు ఉండాలి.
పారాగ్రాఫ్ చదువుకుంటే బదులు ఇంపార్టెంట్ బిట్స్ తీసుకున్నా కదా, సార్.
అరే ఇంపార్టెంట్ బిట్స్ ఎందుకు అంటున్నా? కాంపిటేటివ్ ఎగ్జామ్ గురించి కాదు కదా ఇది, మనది అకాడమిక్ ప్రోగ్రామ్ కదా.
అవునవును.
ఓకే ప్రశాంత్, ఓకే రైట్. నెక్స్ట్ వన్ సందీప్, అనుగుపట్ల సందీప్. సందీప్, మీ వాయిస్ రావట్లేదు. వాయిస్ రావట్లేదు సందీప్.
Hello, sir.
సందీప్.
Let us start, sir.
Yeah, right. You can.
Hello everybody, good afternoon. My name is A. Sandeep. My roll number is 005. Our today topic is the age of Guptas. In the 4th century AD, the powerful dynasty, the Gupta dynasty, arose in Magadha. There are
Title
great
చెప్పండి.
achievements in the cultural field during this period.
సందీప్,
Sir,
టైటిల్ చెప్పండి. టైటిల్ ఆఫ్ ద సెమినార్ ఏంటి?
the age of the Guptas.
ఏజ్ ఆఫ్ గుప్తాస్. ఓకే, రైట్.
Yes, sir. Okay, na, sir?
Yeah, right. You can start.
In the 4th century AD, the powerful dynasty, the Gupta dynasty, arose in Magadha. There were great achievements in the cultural field during in this period. Hence, in this period, they described as the golden age. The dynasty became important under Chandragupta I, who married a Lichavi princess under his son Samudragupta. The kingdom became is very powerful and extended into western Uttar Pradesh and Delhi. As far as under modern religious western Uttar Pradesh and Delhi, he also campaigned in the east and Deccan and south. He defended many kings. However, all the territorials he conquered we are not added in this empire because of the Guptas empire was not as large as that of Mauryas. Chandragupta II and is known as Vikramaditya and also fight against Shakas in western India. We are maintain friendly relations with the kings of Deccan and south. He is famous for the literature and arts. The empire declined in the 5th century under weak rulers. The Hunas, a cultural Asian people, attacked in India, established their kingdoms. These people become a part of Indian population. Gupta administration differed from the Mauryans in the many ways. The governors of provinces were more independent. The officers were later paid their salaries in land revenues not in cash. Under weak rulers, the governors behaved like independent kings and later, after the fall of the Guptas, become the independent rulers. In the administration of the districts, the governors were assisted by the district councils.
హలో
సందీప్ చెప్పు.
బ్రో.
సార్ లేకున్నది.
సార్ హలో. హలో.
సార్ లేడు గ్రూప్ లో, దాంట్లో మీటింగ్ లో లేడు సారు.
ఎందుకు వెళ్ళిపోయారు?
ఏమో మరి, పేరు కనిపిస్తలేదు.
అదే సార్ లెఫ్ట్ అయ్యాను అని వచ్చింది, మరి ఎందుకు లెఫ్ట్ అయ్యారు అని చెప్పి. బ్రో
మెసేజ్ పంపు వాట్సాప్ లో,
ఆ?
మెసేజ్ పంపు వాట్సాప్ లో సార్ ఏమైందని.
రెస్పాన్స్ ఏం లేదు సార్ది.
అవునా, నెట్వర్క్ ప్రాబ్లం కావచ్చు.
సార్ ఎక్కడ బ్రో?
అది రికార్డ్ అవుతుంది మనం మాట్లాడేది.
హలో.
సందీప్,
బ్రో చెప్పండి.
సార్ లేడు కదా.
లేడు, అదే ఇప్పుడు క్లాస్ కంప్లీట్ అయినట్టా లేదా ఏంటి?
ఏమో ఇక వచ్చింది సార్, వచ్చాడు. చెప్పు సందీప్.
సార్
ట్రైనర్ పడ్డది మళ్ళీ. కంటిన్యూ చేయి.
సందీప్
సార్
కంటిన్యూ చేయండి. ఏదో నెట్వర్క్ కొంచెం ఫ్లక్చువేషన్ ఉంది.
ఓకే సార్, అదే కంటిన్యూ.
ఓకే, మీరు కంటిన్యూ చేయండి ఇక.
These people become the part of Indian population. The Gupta administration was different from the Mauryans in many ways. The governors of provinces were more independent. These officers was later paid their salaries in land revenue and not in cash. Under weak rulers, the governors behave like independent kings, and later, after the fall of the Guptas, become independent rulers. In the administration of the districts, the governors were assisted by district councils. From the in this time, the Chinese traveler ideal during the Gupta Western Asia and Southeast Asia. Some of the important which trade was Southeast Asia was in Indian culture also. Relations with the Central Asia and China also developed through missionaries and traders. The Gupta king was worshipped of Vishnu religious sacrifices. We are also held the statue of Brahmans in society rose higher sections. The Epica Puranas were written during in this period. Those books attempted their present from
సార్ వేణు వాళ్ళ
Sir, lera bro.
Students,
Sir,
Sir,
yeah, Sandeep.
sir, completed, sir.
Yeah, right. Okay. Sandeep, next, Nandini, Gangama or Nandini.
Yes, sir. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Nandini Janagamba from Adinabad. As a part of our seminar, today I'm here to present my research paper titled Women in Art, Now and Then, a Remarkable Continuum. Since my graduation times, I have been observing different ancient
Can
art
I,
forms.
can you repeat your title?
Yes, sir. Women and art forms.
Women
And art. A-R-T, sir. Art.
Women and art.
Art.
Yeah, okay, right.
Yes, sir. And my paper focuses on to make a clear attempt on continuum of gender stereotypes by examining ancient art. Like when we read different kinds of historical books which portray or which showcases about the paintings and sculptures of ancient Indian art related to Indus Valley civilization or maybe later Vedic period, early Vedic period. Women are majority of the times portrayed as sensitive, beautiful, and skinny structures, whereas it is different for their male counterparts. So, my paper examines different sectors or different social conditions where women has been marginalized. First thing which I feel is ancient Indian art has put a beauty standards for Indian women. Like when we see Khajuraho temple sculptures or Salabanjika of Sanchi Stupa, we find that the sculpture is very skinny and the woman is very alluring or pleasing, always holding a flower in her hand or something like that. But whereas the male Yaksha, his sculpture is very stout, short, and fat, I don't know why I didn't find any women's sculpture or painting which is fat and dark in color. Uh, and this tradition even continues for today. Like when Indian government presented a video clipping as a part of Incredible India campaign at Global Wellness Summit in 2013, it presented different art forms where women were portrayed always, sir.
Nandini, can you continue?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, continue.
When Indian government provided a video clipping, it portrayed women beautifully, holding flags in their hands or diyas in their hands. But whereas our male counterparts were portrayed very ferocious or brave, holding swords related to Kalayaripattu or practicing Velamkali, boat race of Kerala. This tradition is finding a continuity from the ancient art to today. So, in the other dimension also, where gender-based division of labor is clearly visible in Sansi Supa Salavandika, where she's holding a fly whip, where she used to fan gods and other angels. And when coming to infrequent or invisible women, we find very few women writers, few women painters, and no women sculptors in our Indian ancient history. Uh, there might be two reasons for this. Like one, the social barriers might not entertain women coming out of their doorsteps, or the second is uh, though women try to portray or try to enhance their cultural or artistic skill, they did not own it. Like for example, Raja Ravi Verma, who is an Indian famous painter, had a sister. She painted many portraits, but all the portraits she have been painted are under the name of Raja Ravi Verma. Later, after many years of research, it was evident that that paintings of portraits were belonging to his sister. Even in 1900s, we see such a situation. We can imagine how would the condition of women would be in the ancient eras. And women many times were used as a sexual tools to seduce men. Uh, like for example, we can see in Ajanta Cave number 16, Bhumispartha Mudra of Buddha, where he calls Bhumata to witness the truth that Mara the demon is calling his daughters to seduce Buddha to stop the way of his nirvana. This is how they portrayed women in the ancient art. My conclusion part is many of the historians has used art to portray the economic or artistic skills of the people then. But I want to emphasize that we can even use art and art forms to understand how the stereotypes have been instilled into the public and which are still continuing even today. Finally, I want to say that the beads and bangles used by IVC members, like male or female, did not have any gender attached to it. But today, we have gender-specific thoughts, gender-specific works, gender-specific things. For understanding all this, we need to understand the grassroots of their origin. For this, our history department and research in history may prove very helpful if we do research in art specific for a particular region or understanding the art forms of, for example, Madhya Pradesh. You can understand how the women were portrayed or how they were treated in the ancient eras. And we can deroot the stereotypical thoughts from the members using our educational or cultural enrichment. Thank you, sir.
Uh, can you give me from which paper you choose this topic?
Sir, it's a topic which engulfs all the papers, sir. Like ancient art from paper one,
As a
ancient
part of
Indian
paper
art.
one. Yeah,
Yes,
right.
sir.
Can you give me one or two text which
Yes,
you
sir.
refer? Yeah.
Yeah, sir. Wonder That Was India by A.L. Bashan
Okay.
and Gods, Men and Women by Seema Bava, sir.
Right. Students, you have any doubts or questions to Nandini? Students, ఏమైనా క్వశ్చన్స్ ఉన్నాయా?
No, sir.
No. Okay. Right. Thank you, Nandini. Good.
Okay.
Next one, Ashok Kumar. Ashok. Yeah, right. Ashok. Yeah, start your presentation.
Today my topic is Ashoka's rule, sir.
చెప్పండి, టైటిల్ ఒకసారి చెప్పండి.
Ashoka's rule, sir.
క్లారిటీ. అశోక. యా రైట్. ఓకే, చెప్పండి, స్టార్ట్ చేయండి.
Ashoka Reddy was an Indian emperor of Mauryan dynasty. He ruled almost all subcontinent of India. Mauryan dynasty was founded by Chandragupta Maurya. They covered most of the Indian region. Chandragupta Maurya was succeeded by Bindusara. And Bindusara's son only Ashoka. Ashoka's mother was Subhadra. When Ashoka was born, his mother was kept his name as Ashoka because Ashoka's name was King of Sari. Ashoka was a great ruler among the Mauryan dynasty. To throne the emperor, Ashoka killed all his 99 brothers and except the last 9 brothers. He was most clear rule among the Mauryan dynasties in his region and from the first century. Ashoka married to many princes. He married princes like Devi, Karaveti, Padma, and his sons and his inheritance continued from Mahendra and Chandragupta. The history of Ashoka comes from the inscriptions where he edited from the edited on pillars and all the inscriptions. All the inscriptions also known. Devanapiya Priyadasi was the dearest to leave out and the word Ashoka. Ashoka inscriptions are composed in Prakrit language, one of the India's ancient language. It is also composed in Brahmi script. These inscriptions are mainly composed with the royal patronage and the royal order. There are two phases in Ashoka's life, before Kalinga and after Kalinga. During Kalinga were made several changes in Ashoka's life. After in Kalinga about 1 lakh people are died and there are many people are undertaken into prison. And after Kalinga war only, he totally changed it from aggressive world to peaceful, aggressive zone to peace zone. He patronized Buddhism with suggestions of his wife Devika. In his region only, the third Buddhist council was held at Pataliputra. Ashoka was the ideal person after when he patronized Buddhism. And he followed the principles of Dhamma. Internal policies of Ashoka's kingdom. Ashoka was the largest leader of foreign domestic with first military suppression and then with ideological suppression. And he sent many ambassadors to foreign countries to establish peace and to promote Buddhism. His inheritance like Mahendra Verma and Sanghamitra also patronized Buddhism and explored Buddhism to Sri Lanka and Myanmar, Bhutan, Nepal, and Tibet, like countries that are surrounding our country.
Yeah, Ashok, please conclude it.
The conclusion of Ashoka's rule, he achieved many great with aggressive power and extended nature to a large extent. Also, he came to, they achieved many things with the peace also, sir. Like Ahimsa, Dharma, Satya, like all this. Yeah, that's it, sir.
Yeah, can you give me, is there any different between the Ashoka Dhamma and Buddha Dhamma? Is there any difference? Both are the same.
Ashoka's Dhamma is mainly concentrated in moral ethics, social aspects. Because he is the king of many larger dynasty, we should follow both like peace and we should also punish the people when they are doing wrong with the against this kingdom. Moral ethics like this, anything. And he pays respect to Brahmanas and all this. But Buddhism is the only is ideological process they bring to Nirvana or that process.
Yeah, good. Okay. Thank you, Ashok. Thank you for your presentation. And now we're moving to Vanala Naveen. Okay. Thank you, Ashok.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Vanala Naveen. Naveen, are you in the meeting? Naveen. No. Okay. Next. Guglot Naveen Naik.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, okay.
Sir, actually, I have a presentation, but that video on this ante kashtam, sir. Video presentation rendu okay, sir, anko.
అవసరం లేదు మీరు చెప్పేసేయండి.
Okay, sir. Thank you. Hello, sir.
Okay.
Hello, sir. Am I visible?
Yeah.
Okay, sir. The history of the Kakatiyas began from the closing years of 10th century. The Kakatiyas, who were mainly chieftains in the 10th and 11th centuries, rose to become a major power in the southern peninsula of India in the 12th and 13th centuries. It was before 1116 AD and that they emerged as a sovereign power. Let us start. Rudra, 1158 to 1195 AD. Rudra is the successor who ruled from 1158 to 1195 AD. He pushed the boundaries to the north, right up to the Godavari Delta. He built a fort at Warangal, served as a second, with the invention of Devagiri. His rule, which follows the second phase, namely the period between 1159 to and 1195 AD. As a Rudra has no children, his younger brother Mahadeva succeeded him. Mahadeva, 1196 to 1199 AD. As a Rudra had no heirs, his younger brother Mahadeva succeeded him in 1195 to 1199 AD. Like his brother Mahadeva waged a war of aggression against the enemies in 1199 and died at the hands of Jaituki. The Bayaram tank inscription indicates of plunder of Kalyana in the course of his march against their enemies. Ganpat Deva, 1199 to 1262 AD. The Ganpat Deva is succeeded Mahadeva. He was one of the major kings who ruled for a long span of 60 years in Kakatiya dynasty. He was the greatest Kakatiya ruler and also the first ruler after the Satavahanas bring the entire Telugu nation is under the one rule. Rudrama Devi. The succession of Rudrama Devi is a throne in 1259 AD became the historical event unfolded a new chapter in the history of our country. The reason of being that history had barely and rarely witnessed a woman ascending a throne. Seeing her innate strength and focus of Ganpat Deva made Rudrama go through the rigor of training in horse riding and sword fight and other arts of under guidance of Guru Shivadevaya. Is a Rudram Devi picture. Pratap Rudra. The last ruler of Kakatiya dynasty was Pratap Rudra, who succeeded of his grandmother. He was a son of Mamadama, Rudrama's daughter. Asking of King Pratap Rudra, traded of the some path as grandmother of Rudram Devi. Policy and rule of governance. On observing records of the Kakatiya dynasty, we find an insight to the nature of relationship maintained the subordinate of kings over the years. It's evident that a decentralized type of administration was performed with limited infrastructure and enforcement from the center. Ministry system and Nayankara arrangement. The art of warfare was inherent to the rule and success of Kakatiya dynasty. A history and credits Kakatiya rulers as skillful warriors on battlefield. Those days, 72 languages thereof Kakatiya period. Literature and architecture. The Sanskrit and occupied a very important place during the Kakatiya period and rules greatly contributed in advancement of Sanskrit literature in Telugu country. Nruta Ratnavali. Nruta Ratnavali was a text on a dance authored by Jayappa, the commander-in-chief of the book, founded the expression in performing the artist and Devadaya associated the temples. This is the Kakatiya Toran, the 1,000-pillar temple. The earliest monument of Kakatiya structure of the importance is the Trikuta at Anmakonda, which is popularly called as Stambala Gudi. The monument was built in the 1162 AD by Rudrama to counter the Prashna Savarna power. It's a temple. And
Okay, Naveen.
yes, sir.
Yeah, good. Um,
Thank you, sir.
and can you give me one or two references? What you referred?
Yes, sir. Anant Sharma is a Telugu university. He was my reference and
Ananta?
also technique. Sir,
అనంత ఒకసారి చెప్పండి
Hello.
ఆథర్ నేమ్ ఒకసారి చెప్పండి.
yes, sir. Hello.
ఆథర్ నేమ్ టెక్స్ట్ నేమ్ ఒకసారి చెప్పండి.
Yes, sir. Ananta Krishna Sharma is Ravlapalli. Is Nruta Ratnavali, Telugu, PS Telugu University.
నృత్య రత్నావళి. You referred.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And Birad Rajaram
And
Yajnik is a Kakatiya dynasty.
uh,
Yes, sir. Birad Rajaram Yajnik,
uh,
Kakatiya dynasty, the golden age of Telugu civilization.
mhm. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Anyhow, thank you, Naveen Naik, for your effort.
Thanks.
And next one, Kolapudi Indra Kumar.
Yes, sir.
Indra Kumar?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, right. Yeah, now you can start.
Sir, my name is Indra Kumar. I am writing World History, Industrial Revolution. Introduction. The mass production of consumer goods with the help of the newly invented machines is ushered in a new era in the history of mankind. It was during the 18th century that Britain and Europe witnessed this kind of transformation. The transformation in the method of production from man-made to machine-made is called Industrial Revolution. The Industrial Revolution went through many phases during the last 200 years. Origin of Industrial Revolution. It is originated in British due to many factors. It may be remembered that Britain was principally an agriculture country before the advent of Industrial Revolution. However, it also made rapid strides of progress in trade and commerce. Napoleon had once declared contemporarily that Britain was a nation of shopkeepers. Many factors that responsible for the Industrial Revolution. Among them, the most important are the availability of raw materials, scarcity of labor, a fully developed banking system, and the birth of new entrepreneurs classes. A fully developed Britain had large number of semi-skilled workers who had always available to take up the extra work. Again, Britain had large number of coal and iron which were available at cheap cost. New inventions and new methods of production went hand in hand. Over a span of 100 years, Britain's countryside witnessed a rise of factories. Features of Industrial Revolution. The Industrial Revolution proved to be a silent revolution. It was marked a gradual change. First of all, it was confined to the textile industry. John Kay invented the flying shuttle in 1773, operated by hand. It was increased the speed of weaving of cloth. This invention was followed by another called the spinning jenny by James Hargreaves in 1767. In 1767, Richard Arkwright invented a spinning frame called water frame because it used water power instead of manpower. In 1785, Redmond Edmund Cartwright invented the power loom, which was moved cloth quickly. The machine was driven by big water wheel. Factory system in Britain. The inventions of numerous machines, including that the steam engine and their utilization is wealthy capitalist revolution seed organization of industries. Only rich men could buy machines and house them in large industries. Many workers are required to run the machines for which they were rapid merge wages. People who were without jobs in the village began to drift towards these factories located in small towns. The workers started living in huts near the factory where they are employed. So factory system replaced the old medieval guilds in the course of time. These small towns where the factories were located became big cities with population burning at their seams. Revolution of transport. While the factory systems produced goods for mass consumption at a rapid rate, it was also found necessary to transport these goods by the faster means for all distribution countries. In the country, an American called Robert Fulton invented a system boat called Clermont in 1807. The Clermont converted a distance of 150 kilometers from New York to Albany on the Hudson River in the 32 hours. A few hours later, steamboats.
Kumar,
Sir,
conclude it.
the conclusion for this is the Industrial Revolution led many new theories, especially in social, economic, and scientific areas. Many of these theories had positive effects, but quite a few had negative effects. The new scientific theories were mostly positive because many resulted in inventions that improved the quality of life for most people. Social changes had both positive and negative impacts. Economically, changes were mostly positive. However, the inequalities between the countries began to grow, depending if the country was industrial or not. Over, sir.
Okay, good. Can you give me one or two references?
Sir, I derived from this book was B.V. Rao World History.
Okay.
C.J.H. Hayes. Modern Europe. Right. C.J.H. Hayes, Modern Europe to 1870.
Okay. Thank you, Indra Kumar. Right. Next one, Mahmood. Mahmood, are you in the meeting? No, Mahmood. Right. Next one, Shuguna.
Sir.
Suguna, start your presentation.
Video on cheyala. Sir, Telangana history in Kakatiya dynasty topic.
Open up your video.
The Kakatiya dynasty was a South Indian dynasty that
వీడియో ఓపెన్ చేసి ప్రజెంట్ చేయండి.
Sir.
Okay, now you can present.
The Kakatiya dynasty topic, sir. The Kakatiya dynasty was a South Indian dynasty that ruled most of Eastern Deccan region comprising present-day Telangana and Andhra Pradesh and part of Eastern Karnataka and Southern Odisha between 12th and 14th centuries. 14th countries. Their capital was Orugallu, Nuwas, Varangal. The kings of Kakatiya dynasty. First one, Rudradeva and Ganpati Deva. Rani Rudramadevi, Prataparudra. Rudradeva is first king of Kakatiya dynasty. Ganpati Deva. He was the king of He was the greatest among all Kakatiya rulers and ruled for a long period. The famous poet Tikkana Somayaji was the court poet. It's made the title of Rayagajageshwari. He was a great patron of trade and commerce and issued Abhaya Sasanam at Mutupalli Fort. Rudramadevi, she was the first woman ruler of Kakatiya dynasty as well Andhra region. The Italian traveler Marco Polo visited Mutupalli Fort during their region. Last one, Prataparudra. Prataparudra was last ruler of the Kakatiya dynasty of India. He ruled the eastern part of Deccan with his capital at Varangal. Prataparudra committed. Prataparudra succeeded his grandmother Rudramadevi is the Kakatiya Manoj. Prataparudra committed suicide in the banks of River Narmada because he could not to tolerate the military defeat against Delhi Sultan ruler Ghiyazuddin Tughlaq.
Okay, conclude. Suguna, conclude it. Conclude చేయండి. కన్క్లూజన్ ఏమన్నా ఉన్నదా మీ పేపర్లో? కన్క్లూజన్ ఉంటే అది చదివేయండి.
ఇంకా
రాయలేదా?
రాయలేదు, అంతే రాసిన సార్.
రైట్. సో మీ రిఫరెన్సెస్ ఏం తీసుకున్నారు కాకతీయ డైనాస్టిక్ సంబంధించి? రిఫరెన్స్ బుక్స్ ఏం తీసుకున్నారు? ఏం రిఫర్ చేశారు?
ఎన్సీఆర్టీ బుక్స్ దాన్ని చూసి రాసిన సార్.
ఏ పుస్తకాలు చదివి రాశారు? మీరు పేపర్ ఏది ప్రిపేర్ చేశారు? ఏ పుస్తకాలు రిఫర్ చేసి రాశారు? ఎన్సీఆర్టీలో ఎక్కడున్నది కాకతీయ గురించి? ఏ క్లాస్ లో ఉన్నది?
ఇంటర్ సార్. డిగ్రీ ఇంటర్ అవును సార్.
ఎన్సీఆర్టీ డిగ్రీ ఉన్నదా? అంటే నాకు తెలియదు మరి ఇంతవరకు. ఇంటర్ వరకు ఉన్న సంగతి తెలుసు కానీ డిగ్రీలో కూడా ఎన్సీఆర్టీ సిలబస్ ఉంటుంది అనేది నాకు తెలియదు ఇంతవరకు. మీరు ఏ బుక్ లో చదివారు? ఏ బుక్ లో చూసి చదివారు?
అదే డిగ్రీలో లైబ్రరీ ఉండే సార్, లైబ్రరీ బుక్స్ చూసి నేను నోట్స్ రాసిన. అదే లైబ్రరీ బుక్స్ ఉన్నాయి సార్, డిగ్రీలో అదే చూసి రాసిన.
అదే అమ్మా, ఏ బుక్ చదివినావు నువ్వు? అట్లీస్ట్ ఆథర్ పేరు చెప్పండి, బుక్ నేమ్ చెప్పండి.
ఇండియన్ హిస్టరీ సార్, ఎన్సీఆర్టీ బుక్స్.
బుక్ పేరు ఇండియన్ హిస్టరీయా?
ఇండియన్ హిస్టరీ సార్.
ఎవరు రాశారు?
నేనే రాశాను సార్.
నువ్వు రాసేదేందమ్మా? నువ్వు ఏ బుక్ రిఫర్ చేసినావమ్మా? ఏ బుక్ లో చూసి రాసినావు నువ్వు? పేపర్ ఏ బుక్ లో చూసి రాసినావు?
తెలంగాణ హిస్టరీ బుక్స్ లో చూసి రాసిన సార్.
ఏం చెప్తున్నావు? ఏమన్నా అర్థమవుతుందా? ఓకే, రైట్. నెక్స్ట్ ఆంజనేయులు. ఆంజనేయులు, బి ఆంజనేయులు. నో ఆంజనేయులు ఇన్ ద గ్రూప్. నెక్స్ట్ వాడపల్లి రాజవర్ధన్.
Sir, good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, friends. My name is Vadapalli Rajavardhan, roll number 014, and my seminar paper is on prehistory. Prehistory, the period before history called as prehistory. The history studies about this history studies about the changes in the environment along with the development in the man's behavior.
Open up your video. ప్రీ హిస్టరీ అంటే ప్రీ ఇండియన్ హిస్టరీయా లేకపోతే ప్రీ వరల్డ్ హిస్టరీయా ఏంటి? ప్రీ యూరోపియన్ హిస్టరీయా ఎట్లా?
ప్రీ వరల్డ్ హిస్టరీ సార్, మొత్తం
ప్రీ వరల్డ్ హిస్టరీ.
అంటే పేలియోలిథిక్ సైట్స్, చాల్కోలిథిక్ సైట్స్ ఇవన్నీ అంటే అన్నిటికీ వస్తుంది కదా సార్?
అన్నిటికీ వచ్చేది కాదు బాబు. నువ్వు ఎక్కడ ఏ పేపర్లో చదివినావు ఇది ప్రీ హిస్టరీ అనేది?
Pre-history paper 1, sir. Indian history.
మరి ఇండియన్ హిస్టరీ అన్నప్పుడు ప్రీ వరల్డ్ హిస్టరీ ఎట్లా అవుతుంది?
అంటే అన్నిటికి వస్తుందని చెప్తున్నా సార్. మా ఇండియన్ హిస్టరీలోకి వస్తుంది.
ఎట్లా వస్తుంది? నువ్వు చదివింది ఇండియన్ హిస్టరీలో కదా, యాజ్ ఎ పార్ట్ ఆఫ్ ఇండియన్ హిస్టరీ.
పేపర్ 1 ఫ్రమ్ పేపర్ 1.
పేపర్ 1 అయినప్పుడు ప్రీ ఇండియన్ హిస్టరీ అని చెప్పాలి.
ఓకే సార్.
ఓకే, రైట్.
The period before history is called as prehistory. This history studies about the changes in the environment along with development in man's behavior, physiography, technology, etc. that took place in course of time. Prehistory occupies the longest period in the study of history. It was in existence for more than 10 million years ago, but the events related to the modern man happened in different periods of time in different places. Prehistory does not have any written sources. It only has archaeological sources. Important archaeological sources are stone tools, fossils, animal bones, human skeletons, pottery pieces, etc. Since stone was used largely during this period, historians called it as Stone Age. This period is subdivided into 4: Paleolithic Age, Mesolithic Age, Neolithic Age, and Chalcolithic Age. Paleolithic Age, the term paleo is taken from Greek term meaning old. Lithic means stone, so it is called as Old Stone Age. During this period, the earth is covered with ice and hence it is known as Ice Age Pleistocene period. The period dates back from 10 million years age to 10,000 BCE. This period further divided into Lower Paleolithic, Middle Paleolithic, Upper Paleolithic. In Lower Paleolithic, early man, who was called as Homo habilis, transformed into Homo erectus. He acquired control over speed and dexterity of hand. He used large stone tools called as chopping stones, hand axes, discords. These were used for hunting animals and for gathering food. These have close resemblance with the tools found at older in Africa and affluent tools. The life had similarities with that of animals. It was during this period that the early man also discovered fire. Paleolithic sites in India: Sivalik Hills in Himachal Pradesh, Pahang in Kashmir, and Telangana, Mahbubnagar, Nalgonda, etc. Middle Paleolithic Age. During there was some changes in the physical structure of early man from Homo erectus to Homo sapien neanderthalensis. Traces of this man are first noticed at Neanderthal in Germany. Hence, it is known as Homo neanderthalensis. They spread in different parts of the world during this period. During this period, they used hand axes, scrapers, and choppers. The Paleolithic sites of Middle Paleolithic were Potwar Plateau, Rohri Mountains. And when we come to Upper Paleolithic Age, changes took place in the anatomy of man. He acquired features such as of modern man. Exhalation of breath, made vocal sounds, whistles and gestures, and was able to speak some sort of language. Hence, this man is called as modern man or Homo sapien. Paleolithic sites, the Upper Paleolithic sites in India were Renigunda in Andhra Pradesh and Shorapur Doab in Karnataka. And when we come to Telangana, it is Eleshwaram. Mesolithic Age. It is also called as Middle Stone Age. This period is associated with the use of microlithic tools. This period is very short span. Geographically and climatically, this age witnessed interglacial periods along with Ice Age. They used rectangular blades, crescents, needles, triangles, trapeze, and arrowheads. They tamed animals like cattle, goat, sheep. This period used red-colored pottery. They believed in life after death. The Mesolithic sites in India are Baghar in Rajasthan and Adamgarh. And when we come to Telangana, Pandavlagutta, Sanganipalli, and Ramagundam. After Mesolithic Age, we come to Neolithic Age. It is quite different from the earlier periods, as this period witnessed many changes in human style. An eminent archaeologist V. Gordon Childe called this period as Neolithic Revolution. The people during this period used hand axes, stone sickles, hammer stones, stone blades. They even manufactured different varieties of pots. This period witnessed Holocene. This period witnessed the transition of man as a food gatherer to food producer. Several reasons were pointed out for these changes. First and most important was an increase in population. Second, the children who were burdened till then now become part of food production. Third, to increase the production, they domesticated cows, sheep, goats, dogs, oxen. And the fourth, these developments led to warfare between nomads and agricultural communities. The Neolithic sites were Mehergarh, Swat Valley in Kashmir, Utnur, ash mounds are present there, Kadambapur. And when we discuss about interesting facts about Neolithic age, with the increase in the production, they domesticated cows, ox, and these helped their production, and their manure also helped for the enormous production of their foods. All these developments led to warfare. The Neolithic people.
Rajavardhan concluded.
Sir. Thus, these technological developments were responsible for the formation of the complex societies and division of labor in the society. Further, the tremendous increase in the agricultural produce led to the rise in the civilizations and urbanization on banks of river valleys like Mesopotamia, Indus, Nile, and Yangtze rivers.
Okay. Can you give me any revolutionary innovations or developments you find in Neolithic period, Indian context?
Sir?
Can you give me any two revolutionary developments which taken place during the time of Neolithic age in the Indian context?
In Indian context, sir, they almost from nomadic life to they settled at a certain place,
Okay.
and they invented plough for the agricultural cultivation, sir.
Plough in Neolithic.
Yes, sir.
They are aware the structure of plough in Neolithic.
Yes, sir. With the Neolithic due to that one only, there is an increase in tremendous increase.
Can you give me the site where the plough is found?
I think Mehergarh, sir.
Mehergarh.
Yes, sir.
You found a plough. Is it authentic?
Sir, I think so, sir. Mehergarh.
As per my knowledge, the plough is used during the time of Chalcolithic, not in Neolithic. So, okay. So whenever I think it's from the historic period onwards, the people of India are aware about use of the plough. Okay. So the two important developments, I think one is the invention of wheel and next one is the fire. So both may be revolutionary developments which taken place during the time of Neolithic, I think, right? Okay. Anyhow, Rajavardhan, good.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next one, Gumala Anirudh. Anirudh.
Sir, exit out, sir.
Yeah, you can.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Anirudh, are you there? Anirudh. No. Next, Adepu Pratibha.
Sir,
Pratibha, you can start your presentation.
Good afternoon, sir. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Adebo Pratibha, and my rule number is 016. My topic is Ashoka's Dhamma. Introduction. The concept of an empire becomes familiar to Indian historiography in the colonial period. There was an attempt to identify a few empires from the past and see the current one as part of an ongoing legacy. Empires were defined by extensive territory, and their glory was said to lie in monumental architecture, grandiose public works, and imperial proclamations. With the coming of the Mauryas in the later part of the 4th century BC, the historical sense is illuminated by a relative abundance of evidence from a variety of sources. The Mauryan Empire was founded by Chandragupta Maurya, who succeeded to the Nanda throne in 321 BC, along with his guide Kautilya and Ashoka's reign. After the death of Bindusara in 272 BC, Ashoka succeeded his father's throne. In the Buddhist tradition, he was referred to as Chakravarti, a universal monarch. There were many inscriptions in which the king referred to himself as Devanam Piya Piyadasi, that means the beloved of the gods. And in about 260 BC, Ashoka campaigned against the Kalingans and routed them. Presumably, the campaign was to obtain resources from Kalinga to safeguard the routes of the profitable Mauryan trade with the peninsula that went past the eastern coast. The destruction caused by the war filled the king with remorse. It has been stated in the past that he was dramatically converted to Buddhism immediately after the battle, with its attendant horrors, but he was not an overnight conversion. He states in one of his inscriptions that only after a period of 2.5 years did he become a zealous devotee of Buddhism. It eventually led him to endorse non-violence and consequently to forswear uh, war as a means of conquest. And it was against this background that Ashoka expounded an idea which was new to Indian peninsula of political and social theory, which has also received much attention in recent years as well, enhancing the curiosity about Ashoka. It is based on his interpretation of the philosophy or idea of Dhamma, a term he used frequently. Dhamma is the Prakrit form of the Sanskrit word dharma, meaning according to the context, the universal law or righteousness, or by extension, the social and religious order found in a society where Brahmanism was a norm. In the Buddhist canon, it was used for the teaching of the Buddha. He appears to have been concerned with using a broader ethic to explore ways of governance and to reduce social conflict and intolerance. Refraining from violence was another principle of Dhamma, which included the renunciation of war and conquest by violence, as well as restraint on the killing of animals. But Ashoka was not adamant in his insistence on non-violence. He recognized that there were occasions when violence might be unavoidable. For instance, when the forest dwellers were troublesome. In a moving passage on the suffering caused by war, he declares that by adhering to Dhamma, he will refrain from using force in the future. And he also prefers his descendants not to conquer by force. But should it be necessary, he hopes that they will conduct this conquest with a maximum of mercy and clemency. He pared down the cooking of meat in the royal kitchen, allowing for only a little mention of meat. For his personal preferences, he also lists a number of birds and animals and fish of a curiously mixed kind that he declares inviolable. The inviolability of some is linked to particular days of the calendar. This is frequently quoted today as an early example of the conservation of wildlife, but a more likely explanation of the preservation points to a ritual or medicinal connection. In another edict, he referred to the planting of medicinal herbs to help both men and animals. The policy of Dhamma included the state's concern for the welfare of its people. In some of his rock edicts, he also claims that on the roads, I have had banyan trees planted, which will give shade to beasts and men. I have had mango groves planted, and I have had wells dug and rest houses built every 9 miles, and I have had many watering places made everywhere for the use of beasts and men. Um, and
Yeah,
early
good.
studies
Can you conclude it.
after the rule of Ashoka, slowly the Dhamma did not succeed. It may have been due to Ashoka's over anxiety for its acceptance or to his own weakness. When he became obsessed with Dhamma, in the later part of his reign, the social tensions and sectarian conflicts continued, or elsewhere adjusted but remained. Buddhist tradition depicts him as a Chakravarti, the universal monarch who ensures that the turning of the wheel of law is the essence of his rule. But he himself never declared himself as a Chakravarti. That was not his intention. That's it, sir.
Okay. Pratibha, thank you.
Sir.
Thank you for your presentation. And next one, Rachapudi Babu. Babu. Right. Babu's not there in the meeting. Next, Dubbaka Vaneja.
Good afternoon, sir.
మీ టైటిల్ చెప్పండి వనజ.
Dynasty, sir. Eastern Karnataka and southern Odisha between 12th and 14th centuries. The capital was Orugallu, now known as Warangal. Early Kakatiya rulers.
మీ వీడియో ఓపెన్ చేయండి. వీడియో ఓపెన్ చేయండి.
Kakatiya rulers served as federatives to
Rashtrakutas. టైటిల్ చెప్పండి. వనజ టైటిల్ చెప్పండి.
Kakatiya dynasty, sir.
Kakatiya dynasty. Okay, right.
And Western Chalukyas, for more than 2 centuries, they assumed sovereignty under Prataparudra I in 1163 CE by suppressing other Chalukyas subordinates in the Telangana region. Ganapati Deva significantly expanded Kakatiya lands during the 1230 and brought Kakatiya control the Telugu and speaking lowland delta areas around the Godavari and Krishna rivers Ganapati Deva was succeeded by Rudramadevi and is one of few queens in Indian history. Marco Polo, who visited India sometime around 1289 to 1293, made note of Rudramadevi rule and nature in flattering terms. She successfully repelled the attacks of Yadavas of Yadagiri into the Chalukyan territories. Sources: much of information about the Kakatiya period comes from inscription, including around 1000 stone inscription and 12 copper plate inscription. Most of these inscriptions document matters relating to religions such as donation to Hindu temples. Information about the Kakatiya period also comes Sanskrit and Telugu literary works include Prataparudriyam, Kiratarjuniyam, Panditaradhya Charitram, and Niti Shastra, Muktavali, Niti Sara, and also the Kannada text Kumara Ramana Charitram also provides information about Prataparudra's reaction with the Kompalli kingdom. As sovereign is Prataparudra 1, Ganapati Deva, Rudrama Devi, Prataparudra 2. Ganapati Deva. Ganapati Deva was most popular and powerful ruler among the Kakatiyas. His long rule of nearly 63 years has heralded a new era in the annals of the South India. He was described by contemporary writers and epigraphists as most talented, capable administrator and diplomat. He raised the fortune of Kakatiyas from the position of lowest up to highest level. His tributes to expanded officials, generals played significant role in this attempt. The desire of conquering the coastal Andhra was fulfilled by Ganapati Deva. Next, Rudrama Devi. Rudrama Devi was the second great woman ruler in the history of medieval India after Rajya Sultan. 26 years of Rudrama's rule achieved many milestones. She became a terror to her contemporary Yadava rulers as Ganapati Deva was having no male children. He provided complete training to his daughter Rudrama Devi in running army and statecraft. Under her father's capable guidance, she learned state management. Greatness of Kakatiya. The Kakatiya rulers earned a unique place in the heart of Telugu people. They were capable, dynamic and hard-working rulers. They united first-time Telugu people in the name of their language, their religious, educational works, literature, art and architecture, culture became heritage to present generation. History of Musunuri Nayakas. Conclusion. After the conquest of Kakatiya kingdom, the Tughlaq officials failed in providing security to the people of his region. The oppressive rule Delhi Sultan forced the ex-officials of Prataparudra to revolt against Delhi. This movement in the annals of medieval history is described by some scholars as the liberation movement. It is led by dynamic personalities like Musunuri Prolaya Nayaka. His successor Musunuri Kapaya Nayaka. Okay, sir, completed.
Hello?
Yes, sir.
హలో
చెప్పండి సార్.
ఏదమ్మా అయిపోయిందా?
అయిపోయింది సార్, కంప్లీట్.
ఓకే. సో కాకతీయ యూనివర్సిటీకి కాకతీయ డైనాసిటీకి సంబంధించి మీరు ఏ బుక్స్ రిఫర్ చేశారు?
డాక్టర్ జి అంజయ్ అండ్ Vardham Srinivasrao, published by Telugu Academy, sir. Neelakanta
వర్ధం
Shastri
శ్రీనివాస
says, Vardham Srinivas.
వర్ధం అని ఉన్నదా? తెలుగు కూడా సక్రంగా రావట్లేదమ్మా మీకు చదవడానికి. వడ్డానం ఉన్నదా, వద్దం ఉన్నదా? వడ్డానం శ్రీనివాస్ ఉన్నదా, వద్దం అని ఉన్నదమ్మా?
వడ్డానం సార్, సారీ సార్, వడ్డానం.
అంటే అట్లీస్ట్ మీరు తెలుగు చూసి కూడా మీరు రాసినవి అంటున్నావు కానీ మరి నేమ్ కూడా సక్రంగా చూడలేదన్నమాట మీరు. ఇంకేం చదివినాం, ఇంకేం చూసినాం?
Neelakanta Shastri says, History of South India, published by Oxford Edition, sir.
ఆక్స్ఫర్డ్ ఎడిషనా?
నేను రాయలేదు సార్, ఫ్రెండ్స్ పంపిస్తే చూసిన సార్ అంతే.
ఫ్రెండ్స్ పంపించేదేందమ్మా, నువ్వు కదా పేపర్ ప్రజెంట్ చేసింది. అట్లీస్ట్ రిఫరెన్స్ బుక్స్ కూడా మీకు తెలియడం లేదా? ఓకే, రైట్. సో నెక్స్ట్ ప్రత్యూష.
Yes, sir.
Okay, start your presentation, Pratyusha.
Good afternoon, sir. Good afternoon to everyone. My name is Pratyusha and roll number is 019. My title is The Later Vedic Phase, Political, Economic and Social Conditions.
చెప్పండి మళ్ళీ ఒకసారి టైటిల్.
The Later Vedic Phase, Political, Economic and Social Conditions.
The Later Vedic Phase. Yeah,
yes,
right.
So, introduction. The period that followed Rigvedic age is known as Later Vedic age. The Later Vedic period saw the rise of diverse art and crafts. Excavations and explorations give some idea about settlement. The Vedic Aryans introduced the Varna system. The transition of Vedic society from semi-nomadic life to settled agriculture in the later Vedic age led to an increase in trade and competition for resources. The later Vedic people encountered the Munda speakers in few areas. The Vedic people succeeded in second phase of their expansion because they used iron weapons and horse-drawn chariots. Expansion in later Vedic period, circa 1000 to 500 BC. The collection of the Vedic hymns or mantras were known as the Samhitas. The Rigveda Samhita is the oldest Vedic text, on the basis of which we had described the early Vedic age. The digging and exploration have brought to light nearly 700 sites inhabited for the first time. These are called painted graveware. Painted graveware. The sites were inhabited by people who used earthen bowls and dishes made of painted grey pottery. They also used iron weapons. With the combined evidence from the later Vedic text and painted graveware iron phase archaeology, we can form an idea of the life of people in the first half of the first millennium BC. And development of imperialism. With the development of huge kingdoms in the later Vedic age, the battle for amazingness among various states were of continuous event. The general domain phase posed a potential threat in the political skyline of antiquated India. The Rigvedic title of Rajan was supplanted by the great titles like Samrat, Virat, Bhoja and so on. Later Vedic phase, economy and use of iron. Around 1000 BC, iron appears in Dharwad district in Karnataka, but how it is spread from here it is not clear. However, from the same time Gandhara area in Pakistan, iron implements buried with dead bodies have been discovered in good numbers. They have also been found in Balochistan. The iron ore may have used to clear the forest in the upper Gangetic basin. Agriculture was the chief means of livelihood of the later Vedic people. Later Vedic texts speak of 6, 8, 12 and even 24 oxen yoked in the plough. Then farming. The Aryans of the later Vedic period lived in the towns. In the towns, little labor of land were supplanted by huge landowners who secured ownership of whole towns. The cultivator yielded to gather every year assortments of harvests like rice, grain, wheat, maize, and oil seeds were raised. Threats of bugs and harm of products through hailstorms gravely influence the place where there is kurus and constrained numerous individuals to relocate. Coming to occupation, the development of station framework brought assortments of methods of vacation. There are references about cash loan specialists, chariots, producers, dyers, weavers, stylists, goldsmiths, pressmiths, washermen, bow creators, craftsmen, etc. And political organization. In later Vedic time, the Vidatas completely disappeared. The Sabha and Samiti continued to hold the ground, but their character has changed. They came to be dominated by chiefs and rich nobles. At first, Panchala was the name of the people, and then it became the name of the region. The term Rashtra, which indicates territory, first appeared in this period. Traces of election of the chief or the king appears in the later Vedic text. The one who was considered the best in physical and other qualities were elected as Raja.
Please
He
conclude.
received.
Please conclude.
Okay, sir. Conclusion. Though there was no well-defined political hierarchy in the early Vedic setup, the tribal polity was not completely egalitarian. There was growing importance of sacrifices in the Vedic religion. What we must remember is that the society was not static but dynamic. Between about 1500 BC and society was constantly evolving and newer elements in the economic, social, political, religious spheres operating in transform its surface. Thank you, sir.
Right. Pratyusha, can you give me
references?
You find any developments among this society when you compare to Vedic
in
and
some sectors,
later
sir.
Vedic? When you compare to Vedic and later Vedic, you find any developments or
Yes, sir.
distinguished features?
Yes, sir. But in only some sectors, not all. Like political changes and economic changes. People develop.
Likewise, can you give me any social changes taken place in later Vedic when compared to the Vedic?
Yes,
period?
sir. Social changes. Women were given respect
Respect
in some sectors, like
not particular sector. Can you give overall a description?
Social changes.
How the society is, you can find particularly later Vedic.
Yes, sir. Gods were also they
No,
worship many gods.
I'm not asking religion. Only about society.
Society.
How can you describe the society at later Vedic? At least give the structure of the society at later Vedic.
Women and were given respect.
No. I am not asking about gender. Okay, I am asking about the structure of the society. Any division you find in the later Vedic society? Are you heard about any the term like Chaturvarna or like that?
I have no idea, sir.
You have no idea. Can you give me the Chaturvarna?
No, sir.
No? You don't have any idea over Purusha Sukta theory, one of the thing we'll get from the 10th mandala of Rig Veda. No? Okay, right.
But
Yeah.
But this caste system, child marriages, dowry, and many other duplicable systems were mostly abolished during.
No. I am not going about any social evils like beliefs or superstitions, whatever it may be. So I am not going about those traditions or beliefs.
Sir, they're divided into 4 varnas, sir: Brahmanas, Rajans, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, and Sudras.
Yeah. Okay. It's nothing but a Chaturvarna, right? So, is there any difference or changes among Chaturvarna system when compared to Rig Veda?
Yes, sir. Brahmins were given higher priority.
Okay, that is different. Okay, so they automatically at upper.
Till now, it is continuing.
Yeah, it's continuing. I am not asking about the present status. I am asking about the Chaturvarna system. Have any or had any changes you find in the later Vedic when compared to the Vedic?
That only Brahmanas that I found, sir. They were given more importance, like priests and scholars.
Actually, you find the Vedic society somewhat egalitarian. Okay, egalitarian, not totally like a egalitarian, because you find the Chaturvarna system,
yes,
but you cannot see such deviation or any differences between these Chaturvarna. Okay, so when you see in the later Vedic, you clearly see such differences. Okay, so where the professions also following based on these Chaturvarna.
Varna.
Yeah, and some keeping the Sudra is the lower Varna, keeping the Sudras away from the 3 upper Varnas are like that.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so the flexibility you'll see in the later Vedic, and the rigidity you find in the later Vedic.
Yes.
Okay, so that is the main difference you will see when compared to the Vedic, right? Okay, thank you, Pratyusha. And next one, Santosh.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, Santosh.
Sir.
Santosh, చెప్పండి.
Sir, my seminar topic is tourism, sir.
Tourism.
Sir, అవును సార్.
టూరిజం అంటే దేని గురించి చెప్తున్నారు మీరు? చెప్పండి.
సార్, the importance of transportation. Sir, ఒక minute. Sir.
చెప్పండి.
Sir, type of tourism. Sir, type of tourism. First definition. Tourism definition. Tourism is the travel of the recreational, the leisure, the family and business purpose, usually of a limited duration. The tourism is commonly associated with transnational travel, but many also they refers the travel to another location within some country. The World Tourism Day, the 27th September. In 1976, the Tourism Society of England, the definition was that tourism is the temporary short-term the movement of people to destination the outside, the place where they normally live and the work, and there the actual activities during the stay at each destination includes the movement for all purpose. In 1994, the United Nations identified 3 forms of tourism. The first one is domestic tourism, and the second one is inbound tourism, Third one is outbound tourism. The domestic tourism is the meaning involving the residents of the given country traveling only within his country. The second one is inbound tourism involving non-resident traveling in the given country. Third one is outbound tourism involving resident traveling in another country. Sir, tourism are many types of tourism, sir. The agri-tourism, the birth tourism, culinary tourism, geotourism, cultural tourism, and heritage tourism, medical tourism, pop culture tourism, religions tourism. Sir, explain the one by one, sir. The agri-tourism. Agri-tourism has defined the most broadly involving any agriculturally based operation or activity that bring the visitors to a form of ranch. The agri-tourism has the different definition in different parts of the world, has sometimes referred specially to form the states. The agri-tourism includes a wide variety of the activities, includes buying products direct from farm stand, navigating the corn, the maize, the picking fruity, the feeding animals, and the staying at. The practice include the access to the destination, the country, healthcare centers, the systems and his countries that recognize the birth rate, the citizenship. Next one, sir, culinary tourism. Culinary tourism or the food tourism are say this experiencing the food of the country, region or area, and now considered the vital component of the tourism experience. The doing out among the tourists, and the food is believed a rank alongside the climate, the accommodation, and scenery in importance of tourist. The next one, cultural tourism, sir. Cultural tourism is this subset of the tourism concerned with a country or a region culture, especially the lifestyle of the people in those the geographical areas and the history of those people, their art, architecture, religions, and other elements of the help to shape the way of life. Cultural tourism includes the tourism in urban areas, the particularly historic and large cities in their cultural facilities such as the museums and the theaters. It can also include the tourism in rural areas, the showcasing the two traditional and indigenous cultural the communities. Next one, sir, geotourism. Geotourism deals with the natural and the built environment. Geotourism was the first defined. The 1995 in England, the host. There are two viewpoints of geotourism. The purely geo and the ecologically focused sustainable tourism. This is the definition followed the most of the world. Geographically and sustainable. The tourism the most common definition in the USA. This is the emphasis preservation of the geographically scenes of a place that generally beyond the simple geologically and geomorphological features. So next one, heritage tourism. Cultural heritage tourism or just a heritage tourism and this form tourism is the branch of tourism oriented towards the cultural heritage of the locational where the tourism is occurring, the national trust of the historic.
Santosh.
Sir.
Conclude చేయి.
సార్ కన్క్లూడ్ సార్ ఇంకోటి ఉంది సార్ అది ట్రాన్స్పోర్ట్ ఇంపార్టెన్స్ ట్రాన్స్పోర్ట్ చెప్పాలి సార్.
నువ్వు చెప్పేసేయి, ఒక రెండు ముక్కలు చెప్పేసేయి.
ఓకే సార్ చెప్తాను సార్. is the whatever transportation plays the important role is the enriching the travel experience. The tourist depends on the mode of transportation and the frequency of use. Transportation can turn into a separate tourist attraction elements. The cruising, Orient and Express trains, the boat trips along the river and etc. The importance of transporters. There are three types of transporters, sir. Air transportation, and the automobile transportation, railway transportation, tree transportation, and the sea transportation. The conclusion is the tourism is increased in the income for resident, opportunity for shippings, opportunity for jobs, the increased cost and lands and housing, increasing in the generally prices of the goods and services, rental house has the sources and income, this degradation of the cultural and commercial goods, increased on the number of hotels and resorts, commercial viewpoint of local people. Sir.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
ఓకే
Sir,
సో దీనికి సంబంధించి ఏ పుస్తకాలు ఏమి రిఫర్ చేసినావు?
సార్ నేను కొంతవరకు అయితే నెట్లో చూశాను సార్. ఇంకో కొంత ఏమో సతీష్ బాబు ద టూరిజం డెవలప్మెంట్ ఇన్ ఇండియా, ద పిఎన్ సేత్ సక్సెస్ఫుల్ టూరిజం.
ఓకే, రైట్. ఓకే, థ్యాంక్ యూ సంతోష్. ఈస్ దేర్ ఎనీ మిస్డ్ candidates? Are you there in the meeting? Singam Viresh. ఓకే, థ్యాంక్ యూ సంతోష్. ఓకే, సో ఇక మధ్యలో 20 నెంబర్స్ వరకు ఉన్న వాళ్ళలో ఎవరైతే మిస్ అయ్యారు అంటే సింగం వీరేష్, గుండెబోయిన సైదులు, బాణాల నవీన్, మహమూద్, ఆంజనేయులు బి, గుమ్ముల అనిరుద్, రాచపుడి బాబు. ఓకే, సో వీళ్ళు ఆబ్సెంట్ అయిన వాళ్ళు ఎవరైనా సరే ఇప్పుడు మీటింగ్లో ఉంటే వాళ్ళు ప్రజెంట్ చేయొచ్చు. ఉన్నారా ఎవరైనా? రైట్. ఒకవేళ లేకపోతే ఎవరైతే ఈరోజు ప్రజెంట్ చేయాల్సి ఉన్నదో వాళ్ళు ప్రజెంట్ చేయనప్పుడు రేపు మరలా ఇంకొక అవకాశం ఉన్నది కాబట్టి సో మిగతా వాళ్ళతో పాటు రేపు ప్రజెంట్ చేస్తే ఓకే, సో లేదంటే ఆబ్సెంట్ కింద ట్రీట్ చేయబడుతుంది. ఓకే స్టూడెంట్స్, సో రేపు మరలా అంటే టుమారో విల్ హ్యావ్ ద నెక్స్ట్ సెషన్ ఫర్ దోస్ హూ హ్యావ్ టు present their papers from 21 to 36 numbers, I think. Okay, so they can present their papers tomorrow. I will start my session at 2 o'clock. Sorry, not 2, exactly 11 a.m. morning. Tomorrow at 11 a.m. Right? So thank you your patience. You have certain disturbances which taken place even though you are presented your papers which patiently, and thank you very much, and I will meet you tomorrow at 11 a.m. right? So thank you. I am ending my session today. If you have any questions regarding the presentation and write-ups, now you are welcome to ask.
సార్ ఇప్పుడు రాసినవి పంపించాలా సార్ మీకు?
అవును, పంపించాలి.
సెమినార్ పేపర్స్ పంపించాలా సార్? మేము కంప్లీట్ అయిన వాళ్ళు
పంపించాలి. ఎవరైతే ప్రజెంట్ చేశారో ఒకవేళ ఈ రోజు పంపించలేకపోతే అట్లీస్ట్ రేపు ఈవినింగ్ వరకు అన్నా పంపించండి
సార్. పర్సనల్ నెంబర్కే సార్, మీ నెంబర్కి?
అవును, నా నెంబర్కే పంపించండి. ఎందుకంటే అవన్నిటి మళ్ళీ ప్రింట్ తీసి మేము కాలేజీకి సబ్మిట్ చేయాలి.
ఓకే సార్.
ఓకే, సో రైట్ నప్ ఈజ్ మస్ట్. ఎందుకంటే రైట్ నప్కి 15 మార్క్స్ ఉన్నాయి. ఓకే, సో ప్రజెంటేషన్కి 10 మార్క్స్. సో రైట్ నప్ వస్తేనే ప్రజెంటేషన్ కన్సిడర్ చేస్తాం, లేదంటే ప్రజెంటేషన్కి వచ్చిన మార్క్స్ మాత్రమే సబ్మిట్ చేయాల్సి వస్తుంది. సో రైట్ నప్ ఈజ్ మస్ట్. రైట్ నప్ మాకు అందాలి, దానికి 15 మార్క్స్ కేటాయించబడినాయి. అట్లనే మీరు ఎక్స్ప్లెయిన్ చేసిన దానికి 10 మార్క్స్. ఓకే, సో టోటల్గా 25 మార్క్స్ కాబట్టి మీరు రాసి దాన్ని నా వాట్సాప్ గ్రూప్, పర్సనల్ వాట్సాప్ గ్రూప్కు పంపించండి. రైట్? ఓకే, సో ప్లీజ్ సెండ్ యువర్ రైట్ నప్స్ by tomorrow evening, I think. Okay, so next, the following day we have to submit to the college. ఓకే రైట్ నప్
Okay, sir.
ఎందుకంటే 15
Thank you.
మార్క్స్ 15 మార్క్స్ రైట్ నప్ ఉన్నాయి. ఓకే సో థ్యాంక్ యూ. ఐ ఆమ్ ఎండింగ్ మై సెషన్ నౌ. ఐ విల్ మీట్ యూ టుమారో ఎట్ 11 AM, రైట్?
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
ఓకే రైట్.